Welcome back to World Crisis Radio, our final segment, the first program of the new year. Now, you will recall last week we began going through that vital question of economic program, 30 million productive jobs to rebuild U.S. infrastructure, industry, and agriculture, the program to end the world economic depression. That is available, of course, at tarpley.net. You go to the top of the front page, right? What you're going to see first is a PDF of the program. You want to print it out. It fits on 2 pages. So one piece of paper, you get the lowdown on how to deal with the depression. And then, of course, the electronic manuscript, it's a Word document further down in the list of documents. It's from about the middle of November now. Last time we had gone through the measures to reduce speculation, minimize the burden of fictitious capital, things like taxing derivatives with the Tobin tax, outlawing adjustable rate mortgages, outlawing credit default swaps, stop foreclosures, 10% maximum interest rates, a national usury law, re-regulating commodity markets, doing the obvious things, restore Glass-Steagall. Then we're into number 2, measures to nationalize the Federal Reserve, cut federal borrowing, and provide 0% federal credit for production. So we want to get back to full employment. We have not had it since 1945. We've got to reverse the secular decline in the standard of living. We've had that terrible trio, speculation, deindustrialization, immiseration, the new SDI. That's what we want to get rid of. So we need to nationalize the Federal Reserve and issue 0% federal credit to reconvert idle auto plants and other plants, to rehire unemployed workers, to build modern rail, including maglev rail, mass transit, the kind of thing that China is doing, farm tractors, aerospace equipment, including for exports. You can add in nuclear of the type that South Korea is building. We need also to have those 0% federal credit for the common small businessman, 0% federal credit for production. If you have a small business like an auto repair shop, electronic repair shop, a dry cleaner, a restaurant, a tailor, a family farm, a taxi company, trucking company, ferry, whatever it is, that's production or a useful transportation service. 0% federal credit for you, not for the banks. Maintain commercial credit for retail stores. Yes, we've got to move goods to the shelves. Create an unlimited rediscount guarantee by the National Bank for public works projects to provide cash to local banks for bills of exchange pertaining to infrastructure and public works. Repatriate the foreign dollar overhang, not by a new oil crisis and a war, but by encouraging China, Japan, and other holders of dollars to place orders for U.S.-made capital goods and especially modern hospitals. We want to revive the U.S. Export-Import Bank. We will need protectionism, a 10% tariff to start with, a modest 10% protective tariff to protect domestic reindustrialization. We have to create a state sector, nationalize and operate General Motors, Chrysler, CIT, the commercial credit, and other needed but insolvent firms as a permanent public sector. We need to maintain and expand Amtrak and the U.S. Postal Service, key elements of our infrastructure. 3, measures to reindustrialize, build infrastructure, develop science drivers, create jobs, and restore a high-wage economy. Under this, state and local governments and special government agencies, such as things modeled on the Tennessee Valley Authority, TVA, will be prime contractors for an ambitious program of infrastructure and public works subcontracted to the private sector. This is going to go directly to private construction firms. To deal with collapsing U.S. infrastructure, we need to modernize the U.S. electrical grid and provide low-cost energy with 100 fourth-generation pebble-bed high-temperature reactors of 1,000 to 2,000 megawatts each. We must rebuild the rail system with 50,000 miles of ultra-modern maglev rail reaching into every state. We need to rebuild the entire interstate highway system to 21st century Autobahn standards. Rebuild drinking water and wastewater systems nationwide. We just had another big water main break here in Baltimore. Promote canal building and irrigation. Open those water taps for the farmers in the Imperial Valley of California. For healthcare, build 1,500-bed modern hospitals to meet the minimum Hill-Burton standards of 1946, which was 4.5 per thousand, 3.5 better. Train 250,000 doctors over the next decade. The Davis-Bacon Act remains in force, mandating union pay scales for all projects. For the farm sector, provide a debt freeze for the duration of the crisis. 0% federal credit for working capital and capital improvements, a ban on foreclosures, and federal price supports as 110% of parity across the board, with farm surpluses being used for a new Food for Peace program to stop world famine and genocide. Working with other interested nations, invest $100 billion each in the following. Number one, biomedical research to cure dread diseases. Number two, high-energy physics, including lasers, to develop fusion power and beyond. And third, a multi-decade NASA program of moon, Mars, manned exploration, permanent colonization, and industrial production in space. These science drivers will provide the technological spin-offs to modernize the entire U.S. economy in the same way that the NASA moonshot of the 60s and 70s gave us microchips and computers back at that time. These steps will advance and upgrade the national stock of capital goods and enhance the real productivity of U.S. labor. With these measures, we can return the federal budget to surplus within 5 years or less, and we can return the all-important foreign trade balance. We can get out of deficit on foreign trade in 5 years or less. Number four, measures to defend and expand the social safety net. Restore all recent cuts. Full funding at improved levels for Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, jobless benefits, WIC, Head Start, and related programs. Offer Medicare for all to anyone under 65 who wants it for $100 per person per month, with reduced rates for families, students, and the unemployed, and if you're destitute. Pay for this with Tobin tax revenues and a clawback of the TARP bailout. You can also end the Iraq and Afghan wars, and you can cut U.S. bases overseas to a significant degree in a gradual and responsible way. Seek to raise life expectancy by 5 years. That is, take it from 73, 74, 75 for men up to 80 and up to 85 or more for women. Let's have a target of raising the life expectancy. No death panels. Quickly get to no rationing, no death panels, and remember that savings only come by finding cures. Get to a $15 per hour living wage as soon as you possibly can, perhaps through a series of preordained gradual steps. Repeal the Taft-Hartley Act and affirm the right to organize that existed under the Wagner Act. Pass card check to can promote collective bargaining. In other words, whatever the unions are, they are an important counterweight to management, and that's the question, right? If the unions are not perfect, well, neither is management, so let them fight it out, and the public will benefit. 5, measures to relaunch world trade and promote world recovery. Create a new world monetary system, including the euro, the yen, the dollar, the ruble, plus the emerging Arab currency. The Latin American regional currency is moving forward, with fixed exchange rates and narrow bands of fluctuation enforced by participating governments, yes sirree, by governments telling the banks what they're going to do. Institute clearing and gold settlement among member states. There's your gold reality principle built into the system. Replace the International Monetary Fund with a multilateral development bank to finance world trade and infrastructure. The goal of that system is to relaunch world trade through exports of high-technology capital goods, especially to sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia, and the poorer parts of Latin America. Promote a world Marshall Plan of great projects of world infrastructure. All right, we're almost to the end of point 5. We'll continue this next week. That's your 30 million productive jobs to rebuild the United States and beyond that, the world. And we will be looking for you at tarpley.net. Tune in to take a look at tarpley.net on the Internet. Buy those books and take a look at these interviews as they pop up, and we'll have a longer written account of the Nigerian case over the weekend. See you soon.